Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I was supposed to do this video Friday, but I had a lot going on. I really wasn't myself and I just couldn't do it. I didn't want to do it and not really talk about the things that I want to talk about. If you are easily triggered, you don't want to watch this video because I'm going to really talk about traumatic events and I don't want to trigger anyone. So this is a trigger warning. So if you are easily triggered, don't watch this video. So I have been off of my antipsychotic for about a month and a half now. I just recently started seeing a new psychiatrist. It has taken them a long time to work with my insurance to get my medicine paid for. So that is why I am currently off of my medicine. The only medicine that I am on right now is called Buspirol, I think. It's in here somewhere. I'll pick it up in a second. And that is for anxiety. Now, in my experience, not being on a mood stabler and just being on anxiety medicine, it does not work for me. My anxiety has been really bad. I missed a week from work. I haven't been outside. I'm biting my nails. I'm just having like random like shakes and stuff like that. And it's just, last week just really wasn't a good week. So, I have borderline personality disorder. The definition for this disorder, it says a mental disorder characterized by unstable moods, behavior, and relationships. The cause of borderline personality disorder isn't well understood. Diagnosis is made based on symptoms. What are the 9 symptoms of BPD? That's borderline personality disorder shortened. Fear of abandonment. People with BPD are often terrified of being abandoned or left alone. Unstable relationships, unclear and shifting self-image, impulsive and self-destructive behavior, self-harm, extreme emotional swings, chronic feeling suspicious or out of touch with reality. So those are the 9 symptoms of BPD, and I have every last one of them. So remember in my first video, I said it is a debate if mental illness, are you born with it or does it develop? And I said that my mental illness was developed. So we're going to get into how I developed my mental illness. If you're easily triggered, please do not watch this video. I do not want to trigger anyone to do anything wrong to themselves or to have any type of mood swings. I don't want to trigger that. I just want to share what's going on with me and my mental illness. So I stated that about 2nd grade was the last time that I felt normal. So I grew up in a household with my grandmother, my 2 uncles, my sister, and my younger cousin. My mom was addicted to drugs and she really was kind of in and out of my life. My dad, he committed suicide when I think I was 3 or 4. I'm not really for sure on like the time, but he committed suicide, so I grew up without my dad. So about 2nd grade, we moved from Virginia to Washington, D.C. And anybody that knows, Virginia is like the suburbs and stuff like that. So I was a African-American girl moving to the city where I was used to being around kids of other races. So I used to talk really proper, and when I moved to the city, I got teased. So I was a target for bullying. I was a new girl from Virginia, and that started everything. The bullying started everything. So when I started getting bullied, I started changing myself so that bullies wouldn't target me. I started talking different. I started dressing different. I started hanging out with different people. I started copying personality traits that other people had to keep myself from being bullied. I couldn't really talk to my grandmother about it. I really didn't have anybody to talk to about it. My older sister, we really wasn't close. My brother, he didn't live with us. He was still living in Virginia at the time. So I just really didn't have anybody to talk to. So I kind of went through this whole bullying thing on my own. So growing up, like I said, my mom, she was addicted to drugs. So she was never really there. I can't remember a time where she was. She used to always make me promises and not keep them. She would say like she would come and spend time with me or take me to do stuff, and she would never show up. So I used to wait outside on our porch for my mom to show up, and she would never show up. And I wouldn't, I'm trying not to get emotional. I wouldn't go outside and hang out with my friends when my mom would say she would come. I would literally sit and just wait on the porch for her to show up, hoping, praying, wishing that this time would be different and she would show up. Nobody explained to me that my mom had a problem and that was why she would never show up. So I started to feel like she just didn't like me. So I don't know, at this point, I don't know much about my father's death. I just know that he committed suicide. I am my father's only child. So it made me feel like I wasn't good enough for him to stay alive. And in my mom's case, it made me feel like I was never good enough for her to show up. So one day, mind you, me and my sister, we never was really close. So one day I was sitting on the porch waiting for my mom, like I always did. This probably was the 300th time that I waited for her to come. And my sister was like, Kelsey, why are you sitting outside waiting on her? Go play with your friends. Go outside and go play with your friends. She's not coming, Kelsey. You're not tired of that? Stop disappointing yourself. You know she's not coming. And I hated my sister for saying that to me. Like, what do you mean she's not coming? She promised. She said she was going to come. This time it's going to be different. She's going to come this time. And you know, sometimes she would come, but the times where she didn't come was more. So when my sister had said that to me, I was mad. I hated her. Like, why are you saying it on my mom? She loves me. She's going to come. She's going to come. And then reality set in, and it was like, she's not coming. So you're right. I should go play with my friends. So I developed anger and animosity towards my mom. So I started becoming disrespectful to her. Like when she would call me and be like, Kelsey, I'm gonna come get you. And I'd be like, girl, no, you're not. I don't want to be bothered with you today. No, I want to spend time with grandma. So then like I started doing things like calling my grandmother mom to make her mad, to piss her off. So whenever she would come over the house, I'll be like, Mom. And then she'll be like, yes. And I'd be like, no, not you. I'm talking to my mom, my grandma. I'm talking to her. You know, I would do little stuff like that just to like get underneath her skin. But this entire time, I'm screaming for help and nobody is helping me. So when I was about 6 years old, I think, I'm not going to say any names because I don't want to put anybody out there, but the people that have harmed me, molested me. And, you know, so anyways, when I was about 6 years old, one of my cousins came to visit us, and he used to make me do things to him. He was a little bit older than me. If I was 6, I want to say he was probably like 10 or 11. And he used to make me do things to him. And growing up, like I said, my grandmother raised me, so she never had the conversation with me. Like, if somebody touches you here or below or any, like, nobody's supposed to touch you, and nobody is supposed to see you naked, or, you know, I never had that conversation. So when these things were happening to me, I knew that they were wrong, and I just didn't know how to tell people what was happening to me, because nobody told me, hey, Kelsey, you're not supposed to be touched here, you know? So I never had that luxury of that. So my family member, my cousin, he was probably about 10, I was 6, he started touching me. And whenever I didn't want to do the things that he wanted me to do, he would always say, I'm going to tell grandma that you tried to do these things to me, and I'm going to tell grandma that you did this, or I'm going to tell it was you. And like I said, nobody told me about these things, so I kept doing them, thinking I'm not going to get in trouble. So that was the first time somebody sexually abused me. I think that I've been sexually abused way more than I can remember. I'm having problems with my memory, like, of my childhood. I don't really remember too many things. I have really bad nightmares sometimes where I'm a kid again and things are happening to me and they feel really real, but I don't know who's doing them. So the second person that molested me was my uncle's ex-girlfriend's son. And I want to say I was probably 10 and he probably was 18 or 19. I know he was an adult. He was under 20, anywhere between 18 and 20. And I used to sleep in the living room, and he used to come in the living room and he used to fondle me. He used to touch my breast, touch my private part, and I would lay there and act like I was asleep. Because one time I woke up, like the first time that he did it, I woke up and he covered my mouth and choked me and told me that if I made a sound, he was going to kill me. So in my mind, I'm like, the next time this happens, I'm just gonna act like I'm asleep and he'll stop. And it worked, I guess. I would just lay there and act like I was asleep, and he would touch me for maybe like 2 or 3 minutes, and then he'll go walk away or whatever, and that would be that. But like I said, I still didn't know what was going on with me. So at this point, I'm still being bullied in school. I am having personality issues because I'm trying to fit in, so I don't even know who I am at this point. I'm dealing with abandonment issues from my mother and my father, and now but sexual abuse is now. So it's like it's a lot of sexual abuse in my childhood. So my mom, she passed away when I want to say I was 13. I'm not really for sure. Like I said, my timeline might be a little off because I've suppressed a lot of memories. But my mom, she passed away when I was about 13. And the last thing that I said to my mom, we had an argument, and I told her that I hated her and I wish she was never my mother. So she passed away like a week later, and I never got a chance to apologize. So I have like a lot of guilt from that. That was my first suicide attempt, 9th grade. Once everybody posted about it on MySpace, I went in my grandmother's cabinet and I took a whole bunch of her medicine and I slit my wrist and I passed out. My grandmother, she found me hours later, passed out on the floor. She called 911. And she tried to wake me up, and I was kind of unresponsive. I was out of it, and I was throwing up from foaming from the mouth and everything. And they ended up admitting me to a psychiatric institute after that. When I was in the psychiatric institute, I needed to be there, but I didn't want to be there. I wanted to be out with my friends. It was the summertime. I really needed to be there. So this girl that I met in there, she told me what to say to be able to get out faster. So I basically told them I knew what I did was wrong. You know, I was just triggered. You know, I'm sorry, I feel so bad. I really want to get help. I'm going to take my medicine. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I just lied to be able to go home. So when I went home, my self-destructive behavior, it kept going on. So now I'm drinking alcohol. I'm sneaking in my grandmother's cabinet. I'm drinking alcohol. I'm cutting myself like tremendously, legs, arms, everywhere, just cutting, just mad, just angry and just mad and just feeling like I have no one. My grandmother put me into therapy because she started noticing my grades were declining. I was a really, really smart kid, but 9th grade, it just changed. F's, absences, I'm skipping school, just everything just declined. So she put me in she took me to therapy, and when I went to therapy, I told her about the first time that I got molested by my cousin. My first time. Not the times that happened after that, not my mom's boyfriend, not none of that, but the very first time. And she told me to stop lying. She told me to stop lying. Okay? Told me to stop lying. And I just looked at her and I was like, nobody's gonna believe. If you don't believe me about that, then you're not gonna believe me about the other times. So at this point, I just need to keep my mouth shut. So I had a problem with men letting men in. The very first guy that I was ever with was my child's father, and he just made me feel like really comfortable. Like, he didn't trigger me. I have a problem when I have sex now. Like, my chest area is like a no zone. If I'm trying to be intimate with someone and they touch my chest, I will instantly have a flashback and I'm triggered and I'm having an anxiety attack. I'll probably break down crying in the middle of us trying to be intimate. So I do have problems with that. And my child's father, he was so patient with everything, and he really wanted to get to know me, and just like, he was my best friend at one point in time. And I really appreciate him for doing that, because I needed that. I needed a man to come in my life and not hurt me like everybody else did. So when I found out that I was pregnant, I was so scared. I was so scared, but I was so happy. I was so happy. Like, I just knew, like, okay, this is me. I have control over this person. You know, I can make this person, this baby, happy. You know, I have a reason to live now, and I have a reason to want to get better. So when I found out I was pregnant, you know, I told my child's father, and he, you know, he was happy, and he was like, you know, we're gonna be a family. I'm giving you a family and all this other stuff. And I knew at that moment that I had to protect my mental space, you know, because I didn't want my son to go through what I went through. So at this point, I was on Prozac at one point in time because they just thought I had depression, but it made me even more sadder, so I stopped taking it. So when I found out I was pregnant, I was on Prozac and I stopped taking it. I said, you want to know what? I have to be med free because I do not want my son to have these problems. I don't want to give him any medicine that's going to affect the way he is. So I have to be med free. Have to. So those 7 months, because I had my son early, those 7 months was the hardest 7 months in my life, okay? You are pregnant, you already are emotional, and then now you stop taking the medication that's supposed to help you. And so I was all over the place when I was pregnant. But I'm glad that I did that because my son is like the happiest person in the world. Like, he's so happy. And his childhood is just so amazing to me because he has a mom that loves him and doesn't disappoint him. Whenever I tell my son, I'm coming, I'm going to be there, I'm there. Whenever I call him and I say, you want to come to mommy's house? I'm there. Always, always, always loving him, always giving him attention. I probably baby him a little bit too much because I still hold him like he's a baby and he's 4. But his dad is amazing too. His dad is there. So my son has this perfect childhood to me that I never had. And that was like my biggest thing with being a parent. I just never wanted my child to go through the things that I went through. And I just wanted him to be happy. So, as I stated in the beginning of my video, I recently just seen a new psychiatrist and now I am trying to get back on my antipsychotic. Things that help me when I am med free, and I know everybody cannot do this, but I smoke a lot of weed. Like, I have to be able to calm myself down because my moods can go from angry to just sad to happy. I have cried and bust out crying, like bust out laughing, I'm sorry. So my moods are very unstable like that. I also take a supplement called St. John Wort's. It's like for your brain and stuff like that. That helps. I take B12 to give me energy because sometimes I can get a little depressed and I won't have energy. So I take B12 for my energy. And that's pretty much it. I meditate a lot. I isolate myself a lot now, even though you don't supposed to. But I am what you call a inner borderline, I think that's the term for it, where I don't push my emotions out on people, I bring them onto myself. So when I feel like I'm about to be explosive, I'll isolate myself, you know what I'm saying, and I'll go through the emotions on my own. I am currently still cutting. Like I said, last week was a really bad week for me. So I did self-harm last week. But before that, I didn't self-harm for about a month, I think. And us people that have mental illness, we have to understand our triggers. And we have to stay away from them. I don't care if it's your mom. I don't care if it's your boyfriend. I don't care who it is. If they trigger you, you have to stay away from them because you are going to go down a very slippery slope if you ignore those triggers. So tomorrow, I meet with a new therapist that specializes in trauma. And I told myself that this time I was going to take my therapy serious. I'm not going to just tell the therapist what I think they want to hear. Because now it has gotten to the point where other people are worried about my mental stability, and I have to be healthy or well for my son. Video and this channel is gonna help me do it, because I can't disappoint y'all, and I can't disappoint myself, and I can't disappoint my son.